Hello. Welcome to the Carlos G Figueroa Foundation and in partnership with Panleft Productions, Homeless in Tucson, Gracie. This is going to be a recap of the videos that we have done prior to this one. We have done 5 videos on a homeless lady. Her name is Gracie. She's in a wheelchair. She is homeless and she lives in a camp. She doesn't live in a retreat or a shelter. We wanted to show you the difficulties that any person who is homeless, especially in this particular case, a disabled person, the difficulties that person has in surviving. We learned in the previous videos that she has family, but her and her family don't communicate, which is quite true throughout our world these days. That she has a caregiver, cowboy, that pushes her around and allows her to do much more than she's normally able to do. We learned that she lived in a camp. We did a video on her camp. And if you want to see any of the other previous videos, all you have to do is go to YouTube and search for Homeless in Tucson, Gracie. Or you can just Google it, okay, and it'll come up. She's a lady that has been injured in her ankles. And she therefore can't walk very much, and she has arthritis, and her hands are not that useful. And somebody just made a comment here, which I'm going to block, which is not relevant to this particular video. This is the final video on this subject, on Gracie, and you'll find out in a minute why. We had facilitated the process by which Gracie could get housing. Okay, we facilitated the process of her assessment and the other hoops that she needed to go through in order to get into housing. But unfortunately, she only had 2 more things that she had to do in order to get into her housing, and she did not do them. Okay, so what that does to some of you, it lends credence to the fact that homeless people are lazy, are ne'er-do-well, that they don't contribute to a mainstream. But let me explain to you. I've been homeless. And at the time I was homeless, I was also an active crack addict. And I have more insight into the whys and wherefores of this than most of you who have not been homeless. In her particular case, she had been homeless for 4 years, and she's striving on a minute-to-minute basis, attempting to survive, okay? It's when you're homeless, it's about where you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep, where you're going to get the next clean pair of socks, where can you wash your clothes, where can you go to get medical treatment. It's always about where can I do this, where can I do that, okay? So when you're homeless for a lengthy period of time, as Gracie was, and you're not used to taking care of business like we do who are mainstream, paying the rent, paying the utilities, taking care of all the various things that pull at us in order to maintain our status in mainstream life. When you're not used to doing that, then what happens is that those things become a sort of plateau which is unreachable because you're still constantly in the state of survival, minute to minute, day to day, and you're not used to taking care of those types of businesses that you and I take care of. All right? So I don't blame Gracie. No, I don't blame her because I know where she's coming from. I know the problems that exist because of her trying to strive. Okay. Now I told her yesterday that her window of opportunity has closed for housing, though it's not completely closed. It's ajar. Okay. I told her that because of her inability to jump through the final 2 hoops that she needed to. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Because of her inability to jump through the final 2 hoops that was necessary for her to get into housing, the window is partially closed. Now, I say partially because I do believe that at some point when she is ready, she can reapply. But all she had to do was get her ID and get a printout of her Social Security to take to rapid rehousing, and to that would facilitate the process by which she would get into housing, because she's a high priority, because she was in a wheelchair. But she couldn't do that, and I understand why, okay? Because when you're out there trying to figure out where is the next meal you're going to get, where you're going to sleep, where you're going to be able to get medication or whatever of that sort, when you're out there and that's on your mind on a minute-to-minute basis, it's difficult. It's difficult to think in those mainstream ways. Quite often what happens is that people who are out in the street, living in the street for long periods of time, for years, they see us, mainstream, but they don't see us, our lifestyle, as being attainable. They acquire a sort of, how should I say, tunnel vision, so to say, okay? Our lifestyle does not seem to be attainable to them because they don't see it as something that they can acquire, okay? They have become lost, so to say, okay? They have become lost and stuck where they're at. So quite often that happens. So when homeless people don't avail themselves of opportunities to better themselves, that is what is happening, okay? They see themselves in a place where there's no place to rise above. And I want you to understand that, okay? Because, many people, they look upon homeless people as being lazy, shiftless, all alcoholics, all drunks, all ne'er-do-wells. And that is not the case, okay? There are many. There is people out there who are like that. But the vast majority of homeless people that exist want to get back into the mainstream, okay? They were, at some point in time in their past, your neighbors. You came in contact with them in the grocery store, in the bank, walking down the street, okay? And due to unfortunate circumstances, they became homeless. And just as I said, if you're homeless for a long period of time, you lose your way up, okay? You see no way that you can rise up, even if you're given the opportunity. Even if you are given the opportunity to do so, it seems to them that it is something that is totally unreachable. So this is a recap of the Homeless in Tucson Gracie series. This will be the last one I will do about her. But this will not be the last Homeless in Tucson video. We will start shooting, I believe, this week, Veterans on Patrol. We will shoot Lewis Arthur, who is commander of Veterans on Patrol, and he is the commander of Veterans on Patrol. I just repeating myself. Okay. Anyway, Veterans on Patrol is an organization in Arizona that is searching for homeless veterans and bringing them into their camps. Yes, they have camps. They have a camp, a military-style camp in Tucson and in other cities in Arizona, and they are bringing veterans off the streets and getting them into housing. So we will start with a video of Lewis Arthur, the commander of Veterans on Patrol, sometime this week, and we will start a new path for this series. Unfortunately for Gracie, as I said, she did not jump through those last 2 hoops, but the door is not closed for her. Okay? It is just slightly shut. Okay? Am I homeless? No, I'm not homeless. I have been homeless. I'm mainstream now. I was a homeless person, and I was an active crack addict at the time. So I have a more insight into the condition than most people who have not been homeless. So we will continue with this series. We will also be interviewing, how come you think says something homeless then? How come you think your thing says something homeless? Because it was about Gracie. Okay, we did 5 previous videos on homeless in Tucson, Gracie. All right, 5 previous videos. This is the recap of those 5 previous videos. This is the last one on Gracie. But we will continue to shoot videos on homeless people, homeless advocates, homeless groups that provide services to the homeless. So I hope that answers your question. Yes. So we will continue shooting homeless people, homeless advocates, as I just said. And unfortunately, this is the last video about Gracie. But Gracie is still chugging along. She's still surviving. She's still making it. And hopefully she will get into housing one day. But I just wanted you people to understand that, you know, when you're out there, as I know, and I've been out there myself, when you're out there, it is extremely difficult for you, if you have been out there for long periods of time, if you've been out there for years, to reach above your status, okay? And the longer you're out there, the harder it is for anybody who is homeless to get out of homelessness, because their tunnel vision becomes extreme. So I want to thank you for watching this short video as we recap the Homeless in Tucson, Gracie video series. And if you want to watch the previous 5 videos, search for Homeless in Tucson on YouTube or Google it, and you will see the series in their entirety. I'm Ron Austin. This is a video series by the Carlos G Figueroa Foundation in partnership with Pan Left Productions. Thank you for watching.